What is going on today, guys? So as you can tell by the title of this video, we're going to talk about some things that I think you should have if you are concerned about riots. If you're concerned about some of the violence and the protests and the things that are going on around the country, if this is something that concerns you, these are some things I think you should make sure that you keep on you at all times, primarily probably in your vehicle, but also in a way in which you can take these things and keep them on your person if you need to. Okay. Now, obviously, as a prepper, this goes along for SHTF as well. So if you're a prepper like me, you're not really concerned about riots in your area, same as me. I'm not concerned about riots where I live. Maybe this is just good stuff to have on you in your vehicle in case you ever happen upon an SHTF situation and you want some things on you that you just might need in a bad situation. So obviously, with everything going on right now, it is something a lot of people are talking about. Look, over the course of the last year to year and a half, there have been a lot of things that have kind of come to a head in our society, and that's why this is a topic a lot of people seem to be concerned about. Again, depending on where you live, it might not worry you, but if you live, even in Texas where I live, but you live in Houston or Austin or Dallas, these things are happening. Now, they're not widespread. They tend to be very focused, but again, maybe you live in Minneapolis and maybe you saw some of the violence. Maybe you remember Washington, D.C. back over the summer, whether it's Antifa protests that turn violent, BLM protests that turn violent, or something else that just turns violent and you want to make sure you're okay. This is a list of 11 things that I think you should have with you at all times. Now, first up, pretty obvious, a gun. For me personally, preferably a handgun, because if for some reason you need to, and I don't recommend it in a bad situation like a riot, but if for some reason you need to leave your vehicle, again, I don't recommend you leave your vehicle, it is protection for you. You want something that you can carry on you, preferably something that you can conceal carry on you. You don't want everybody knowing you have a handgun. And along with that goes magazines, holster, anything like that that you want to keep with you so that you have everything you need just in case. Next up is going to be some sort of trauma kit, IFAK, med kit, whatever you want to call it. And I'm not talking about like the med kit you get at Walmart with Band-Aids and Tylenol. No, I'm talking about an actual trauma kit where you've got, actual gauze for wounds, maybe some quick clot, maybe a suture kit, stuff for real trauma, for if somebody really, really does get hurt. Now, you can buy trauma kits online. You can buy on Amazon, eBay. There are plenty of websites that sell them as well. That's one route. You're going to pay a little bit more for that than you would if, say, you put a kit together yourself, which is the method I usually prefer. Or maybe sometimes I buy a basic trauma kit and then I add things to it. Pretty much everything that you would need in a trauma kit you can get on eBay and Amazon, and you can get it pretty cheap, and you can actually build yourself up a kit better than you can buy one for, or cheaper and better actually, because you can make sure it only has the things in it that you actually want, and you're not getting anything you don't want, and you're getting everything you need. So it depends on which way you want to go. Either way is fine. Obviously, personally, I recommend building up a kit yourself, but just having a trauma kit is better than nothing. Next up, and this really only applies to riot situations where you don't know what the other people are going to be doing, you don't know what the environment is going to hold for you, and that is some sort of gas mask. Now, this may not be necessary, and again, if you don't live in an area like Portland or any of these larger cities that's seeing some of this stuff, if you're just preparing for SHTF, gas mask is probably not necessary, but specifically for a riot, when people are using pepper spray and you don't know if cops are throwing things out and you don't know what's going on, a gas mask might be kind of handy. Now, nowadays gas masks have gotten a little more expensive than they used to be. You can get surplus gas masks for probably in between $30 all the way up to $130. Depending on what you get. Hungarian, Croatian gas mask, Israeli gas masks tend to be a little more expensive, but they're a little bit better. But for in that $30 to, I would say, $100 range, you can get a gas mask and some brand new filters and have something that you can just throw in your vehicle, and those things pretty much last forever, for the most part. You do want to check your filters every so often, they do expire. But for the most part, if you keep them sealed up good, you should be good to go, and that would help you in case somebody tries to pepper spray you or mace you or something like that. Now, speaking of pepper spray is another one. That's another thing you should probably have. Nowadays, pepper spray is actually pretty cheap to get. There is some high-end pepper spray, some of these big cans that can cost like anywhere from $50 to $100, and they last for quite a while. I don't think most people really need that. You can probably go with one that's made for roughly 10 uses, and you can pick those up for 10 to 15, sometimes $20. Sometimes you can buy 2 packs for 15 or 20 bucks. They're small, they're easy to keep on you. You're not going to hopefully use it a lot, and hopefully if you have all the other things on this list, it's something that you would only employ in certain situations, so you don't really need it to last for a really long time. So you don't need to buy one of the 50, 60, 70, $100 cans of pepper spray. You can buy a $10 or $20 little spray bottle of pepper spray and probably be just fine. Now, next up would be a stun gun. I recommend having a stun gun. They're usually pretty cheap. You don't have to get one of the big, great ones. You want something that's going to get somebody off you. It doesn't have to be powerful enough to knock them out. It just has to be powerful enough that they stop doing whatever it is they're doing. And those stun guns you can usually pick up in the $20 to $50 range, somewhere around there. And we are talking stun guns, not tasers, not something you're shooting leads out at somebody, but something you hold in your hand and you have to actually touch somebody. It's just easier to use. You can use it more than once without having to reload the cartridge like you would on a taser. And again, they're not very expensive, so it's definitely something I think that could be helpful in a bad situation. Now, next up, a good flashlight. And if I'm looking for SHTF, potentially a riot, a flashlight I'm going to be looking at is going to be something a little bit larger, something a little bit more powerful, something that could, if need be, used as a weapon itself. So, you get those larger flashlights that are, 8 to 14 inches long. They're made of some sort of metal, even if it is aluminum, but they've got some heft to it. As far as lumens go, you can get some of these larger flashlights that are 800, 1,000, 1,200 lumens or brighter. Those usually work pretty good. And depending on what brand you get, again, 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks, something like that. But it's just a good option to have because you never know what you might encounter and what type of day you might encounter. So definitely something you want to look into. Next up, we're going to talk about pocket knife. Just a simple pocket knife. I prefer fixed blades myself. They tend to be stronger, and you can get fixed blades that aren't that big, that can still be, easily concealed in a pocket or on a belt or something like that. It doesn't have to be a big Bowie knife or anything. But if you want a little folder that you can just slide into your pocket, no worries, go for it. But just something good. Don't get something cheap. Get a decent brand. There are several out there. I prefer Cold Steel myself. It's one of my favorite knife brands, but whatever works for you, CRKT, Kershaw, something like that. But just a good pocket knife, because that's just a good tool to have anyway, and you should probably be carrying one no matter what, whether you're worried about riots or SHTF or just, want to open a box sometime. Having a good pocket knife on you all the time is a very, very good idea. Next up, bottled water. Sounds simple. It is. Have some bottled water in your vehicle. Okay? Don't leave it in there all the time. Swap it out every so often. Drink it when you need to. But bottled water can be very useful, especially if you don't have your gas mask and you get something sprayed in your face in a riot situation. Bottled water is a good way to wash your eyes out. In addition to just having water on you could be a good thing, especially in an SHTF situation where you're just trying to get home. You might want some water. So keep a little bottle of water in your car. I know it's coming into the summer. It gets kind of hot. That's why you drink it regularly. Rotate it out. Don't let the water sit in the car for too long. Eventually the plastic will degrade, especially in the heat. So rotate it out. Keep some extra bottled water in your vehicle, in your trunk, under a seat, whatever it is. Drink it when you need it. Replace it. And then go on from there. Next up, duct tape. Everybody should have duct tape. Why is this up for debate? Keep some duct tape in your vehicle. Right? Do we need to go any further than that? Duct tape can do all kinds of things. You never know when it can be useful for just repairs or tying somebody's hands, whatever, you don't know. Patching up a bag, patching up shoes, patching up clothes, patching up wounds. Duct tape is an incredibly useful tool. You should always have some on your vehicle, or in your vehicle, or on your person, especially in a bad situation. That brings me to a backpack. A backpack of some sort. It can be all tactical if you want. It can be just something that looks completely inconspicuous, whatever. But if you have to leave your vehicle, you want to be able to carry all the things that I'm telling you should have on you, a backpack is a great way to do it. It doesn't have to be expensive. I prefer ones that have multiple pockets so you can separate things out based on what you need to grab and wear, so you're not just digging in one giant pouch. So get some kind of useful backpack. But just a good backpack, again, can be tactical. Doesn't have to be, whatever you want to do. Backpacks start at like 10 bucks and go up from there. You can probably pick them up pretty cheap at thrift stores and Goodwills and things like that if you don't want to spend a lot of money. You pick them up at Walmart, doesn't matter, get them on Amazon, eBay, whatever you want, but you need some sort of backpack in your vehicle. In fact, that's probably where you should keep most of the items that I'm telling you to have in your car. Go ahead and keep them in the backpack already so you can just grab it and go if need be. And finally, the 11th thing I think you should definitely have if you're concerned about riots, not so much SHTF, but definitely riots, and that is a dash cam. have a dash cam. There's some really good dash cams out there on the market, and now that technology has come quite a ways from where it was a few years ago, you can get a really good high definition dash cam that has a lot of storage that will record for, they have different settings, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes at a time, and you can record what's going on. So if anything happens, if the police get involved, you have some sort of proof of what was happening to you and why you may have reacted the way you did to a given situation. It's a great way to cover your ass. So there you go, dash cam. And that's it. That's what I got for you guys. If you are concerned about riots, if you live in an area where this might be something that is concerning to you, if you live in a larger city, these are the things that I think you should have. Again, I don't think we're going to see this stuff end anytime soon, unfortunately. I think we are just getting into it. I think this summer, 2021 is going to see some more violence. It's going to see some more protests and riots. Again, depends on where you live. I myself am not concerned about it, but you might be. And if you are, hopefully this was a little helpful to you and gives you some ideas of things that you can do to better prepare yourself in case you do find yourself in a bad situation. So that's it. We're going to go ahead and get out of here. You got any questions, comments, anything like that, leave that down below, and we will talk to you guys later. Take it easy.